Howdy, howdy. Welcome to the next disgusting episode of Coming Back from Fear, where we discuss disgust. You know, the feeling of disgust is one of the most bitter tasting of our emotions. And I think that is because it is such an extreme emotion, extreme anger or extreme hatred. As with other episodes, we will chat about some circumstances where disgust can be seen in captivity, and then we will chat about how we can apply our superpowers to it. For me, one of the more recent times, at least in the last few years, where I experienced disgust was with our political election process. Can you feel those emotions rising up inside you just at the mention of that political process? I know it is in me. As reports of election tampering, backstabbing, and all sorts of other shenanigans as they come out in the news, whether true or not, we can become disgusted that adults are acting this way. Then we get the contradicting stories in the news, and we start becoming disgusted with our news media because we don't know what they're making up, what they're twisting, or what they're just outright lying about. And then as others attack our candidate because they feel the need to protect their own choice of candidate, then we start getting angry with those individuals. And if we get caught up enough in the emotions, it can escalate to disgust, sometimes causing a rift within our friendships. We put our trust in these leaders and these reporters, and they let us down drastically. In our holy wars that are going on in the world and that have happened in the past, we can become disgusted when religions that are supposed to be rooted in unconditional love suddenly condemn others to a judgmental eye or judgmental voice, and possibly even to the point of death, depending on the religion and the individual. And we might jump to focusing on Muslims and ISIS, but we also need to take a look at our own religions who blow up abortion clinics, beat homosexuals, sometimes to death, or they wish ill will on other religions of the world. Some of our own religions will ostracize those that break the rules within their religion, abandoning them, or even punish them somehow while keeping them in the fold. Some religions are racist against people of different color, including white people. People of love were living their lives. Other people saw that unconditional love and were attracted to it and lifted these individuals up, creating religions around their lives. And then decades and centuries later, individuals who did not personally know the exalted individual start putting words in their mouth and interpreting the written records to support their own personal beliefs. Those feelings of disgust ignite within us when leaders who are supposed to lead us in unconditional free love start charging for it and putting rules around unconditional love, making it conditional love. Again, our expectations of others are not met, and we take their actions very personally. We are disgusted. Okay, so let's take some deep breaths to calm down and come out of our fight and flight mode. Take a deep breath in through the nose, hold it, and then exhale out through the mouth. And just keep doing that until you feel a calm come over you. Alrighty, well, let's apply our superpowers. The power to laugh. Sometimes the things that happen in life can be so silly. They are so extreme that I have to laugh because I see the classroom that I am entering. My fear ego is clearly trying to show me what judgment feels like. That conditional love. When these uncomfortable emotions of disgust start rising within me, I try not to reject them. Instead, I try to acknowledge them, just let them flow, and then I can get to the root without much resistance. When we resist something, it just becomes more of a battle within us. So instead, I laugh, I smile, and giggle as I talk out loud about why I am feeling so angry and judgmental about that person or that situation. Keeping the thoughts in the shade of our minds and our fear ego, keep them alive and churning. When I bring them out into the light by speaking them out loud so I can hear myself saying it, or by writing it down so I can see it, then the story behind all these expectations and emotions starts to fall apart. Really, give it a try. These people should not be acting the way they are. They should be living the way that I think they should. Wow. So arrogant, huh? Mr. Hoity-toity, I will rule the world. That sounds like a lot of work. Maybe I will just come back to my own business and look at my own actions. That sounds more productive and more likely to produce some results. The power of thank you. When we get caught up in all the things that are not going right in our world, if we choose to flee from the battle, we will start a downward spiral into despair. But when we are in a fighting mood, that is when we have disgust creep up, and we will wield our sword at our opponents, demanding that our conditional love laws and expectations be met at all cost. The power of thank you ignites gratitude within us, and that quiets our fear ego. It can bring us out of our frenzy, where we can see individuals and situations for what they really are, experiences. In the calmness of gratitude, we can see the contrast between unconditional love within us against the conditional, judgmental love of this realm. It starts with finding just one thing to be thankful for, no matter how small we think that it might be. I am thankful that my heart is beating another beat, that I'm able to have one more breath. Start there, if nowhere else. Then go on to another item to be thankful for, then another, and then another. It will all start cascading in an amazing awareness of how truly blessed we are. The power of now. As with most fears, disgust is energized by the fears of the future. We can probably deal with that we were just let down today. But when our fear ego brings in the questions about how possibly we were wronged in the past, while it shows us a movie of the millions of times we will be wronged in the future, we expand like a blowfish, putting up our defenses and prepare to attack. With the power of now, we can practice consciously and purposely coming back to this moment. We can quickly flow through the thoughts of the past and the future, not grabbing hold of them. Thoughts will always come, but we don't have to contemplate them and sit and watch that movie that is playing. We can just let it float by in the stream of thoughts and move back to this moment. The power of no. Our thoughts are like a game of hot potato. Our fear ego throws us a searing thought of fear, and it burns if we hold on to it. But with our power of no, we can say, nope, 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 not me, and throw that hot potato of fear right back to where it came from. We do not have to entertain it. And then when our fear ego and mind throw it back at us again, we can say, no, I don't even need to accept that hot potato in my hands. I'm just going to let it hit the floor. Game over. Boom. The power to question. So after I have applied these other superpowers, they usually bring me to a wonderful place of calm where I can sit quietly and ignite my power to question. I can understand the source of this emotion of disgust so that the next time when it arises, I am more aware of it and can move through it faster. Like most uncomfortable emotions, disgust is rooted in judgment. The extent to which we fear that one of our rules will be broken by someone else or ourselves is equal to the level of our disgust. Disappointment is the igniter. The extremity of how someone is not living up to our expectations is what takes all these feelings to that escalated level. When we take their betrayal very personally, it turns into disgust, a form of hatred, a form of fight in the fight or flight mode. When we are in the flee mode, that is when the emotions take a turn and go into the direction of sadness and despair. When feelings of disgust well up within us, because we think we are witnessing someone not doing what we think they should be doing, we can question those thoughts to find out why we are so scared of it. Why do we care so much that they're not doing what we want them to do? Do we fear their punishment? Do we fear that their actions might be okay and that our rules might be wrong? Do we fear that their actions mean something about me? Do we fear that we will try those actions on us and we won't be able to stop them? Do we fear what that means if it does happen and we couldn't stop it? Or do we fear that their actions mean nothing at all and we are just making a big fadoo about nothing? When we are drawn out into all those fears of what could happen outside of ourselves, we feel out of control and scared. There actually is only a small amount of things that we can control outside of ourselves and our own actions. When we recognize that within any situation, we have the power to choose what anything means to us, for us, and about us. And when we recognize that, we become less impacted about what is going on outside of ourselves. It isn't that we don't care. It is more about focusing our energy on what we can do about something and not investing our energy into trying to make other people do what we think they should be doing. Based on my experience, it has always been a waste of time to try to change other people. Even if I got someone to do something I wanted them to do once, that was it, once. I realized it wasn't worth all that energy I had to invest just to make that one thing happen. And even after I did get my way, I didn't feel much different inside having accomplished that task. So instead, I invest the energy into understanding my fears, because in that journey, I set myself free. I leave you with posting that I had on Facebook a few years ago. It's titled, "Who's Tellin' the Truth?" In this time, especially in the United States, it is difficult to know who is telling the truth and what is fabricated. When we hear of false statements, hidden facts, made-up evidence, and especially with the ability to alter videos and pictures, how can we even trust what the media presents to us? Depending on the source, we might hear that presidents are failing us, but from another source, it says they are helping us. Rumors spread of a famous person dying only to find out that it was a hoax. There are even websites dedicated to showing us what is true and what is not, and we trust those sites. But why? They could be making up information as well. External information is unstable. Internal voices of fear are based on external information, so they are also unstable. When I get confused and unsure of what is going on in the outside world, I turn to the inside world of love. Unconditional love doesn't care about the whys behind everything that is going on in the outside world. It doesn't concern itself with things that are outside of its control. It simply wants to love itself, love others, and love the Creator of all things. Ego fights to defend its opinion. Love simply allows others to believe what they want to and keeps its peace, focusing on the important. That we are all in this world together, having our own adventures, going through our own lessons, and learning about who we really are, love beings. When in doubt, follow a heart free of fear. There we will find the truth. Our adventure is always love. Next episode, we'll take a glance at envy. Until then, think about a time when you felt disgusted by someone's actions. Try to calmly look at the root of your judgment of this person. Do you know why they acted the way they did? Do you know if your perception of the situation is 100% accurate? Is that role inside of you yelling that they shouldn't do that? Is that based on unconditional love or conditional love? Does this situation really matter in the scheme of millions of years of existence here? Can you choose to go back to that moment and just love that person unconditionally? This life is always such an amazing journey, especially when you realize you never have to do anything you don't want to do.